today to be conducting this panel. I'll take a minute just to introduce myself, and then our panelists can introduce themselves as well. So Amanda Wodzinski, one of the founders of HIKE2, and I'm also just have the pleasure of sitting on the board at the Blind Institute of Technology. So this panel here is certainly one of my passions, not only to be here for Dreamforce, but to be able to moderate this is truly an honor today. And I thank all of you for coming. So we have three fantastic people and humans here with us today. And you'll have a chance to meet on the far end, Ertay Shashko, Senior Project Lead at the Blind Institute of Technology. We have Stephy Hogan, Director of User Experience at Red Argyle, and an aspiring author, recently publishing her first book. And the name of, you can tell us the name of your book and tell us a little bit about it when you introduce yourself. And then Mike Hess, directly to my left, and he is the founder and executive director of the Blind Institute of Technology. So if maybe we just kind of start with you, Ertay, just do an introduction and we'll pass it down this way.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Ertay, and I work as a senior Salesforce project lead at Blind Institute of Technology. I've been in this role for a few months now, but I've been with BIT for almost 4 years. I started in BIT's academy, so I'm one of the, what Mike likes to call us, the product. That went through the entire pipeline. So started in the academy, then did a small internship. At the time we didn't have apprenticeships at BIT. Our consultancy side was just starting up. So from my internship, it turned into becoming, a full-time Salesforce system admin job. And then from there, things escalated. So now I am leading a team of system admins and business analysts. And I am also in charge of a few apprentices that we have at our organization. And I'll probably expand a little bit more. So fun fact about me is that I come from North Macedonia. I'm going to guess that besides my brother, Christy, Mike, and Sam that are here in the audience, the others may not know where that is. It's a small country just north of Greece. So nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for the geography lesson, because I needed that. I'm really terrible at it. I'm Stephy Hogan. I run a UX department at Red Argyle. Let's see, I've been a UX designer for more than 20 years at this point, and went straight into Salesforce design in 2019. And yeah, I recently published a book called The Reluctant UXer's Guide to Salesforce Design, which is good for admins too. I kind of poke fun at Salesforce a little bit in a very nice, kind way. And there's a large accessibility section in it because I can't resist. So yeah, since 2019, I've been hardcore going at accessibility, especially from a neurodivergent perspective. And I guess fun fact about me is that I got married in 2019 at Lowe's in the Garden Center.
Love that.
Thank you.
That is fun.
And congratulations on your book. Amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome. And good afternoon, team. My name is Mike Hess. I'm Executive Director and Founder at BIT, Blind Institute of Technology. We have been in business since 2012. Wow, it's been a Wayback Machine now. We are a Colorado-based nonprofit, truly making a global difference within the people with disabilities community. I left my corporate gig after 20 years. I'm a recovering coder, a recovering network admin, so I speak nerd, I speak tech. However, I left my six-figure Fortune 500 company position 13 years ago now because I was always the token blind person. And after doing much research, due diligence, as a good engineer should, on why I was the token, I just realized that there are a lot of organizations that are serving the broader people with disabilities community. However, none of them were really addressing the true taboo conversation around disability within the Fortune 10,000. And so, foolish or courageous, somewhere in between, I left my six-figure income to start BIT, and I never looked back. No, I look back a lot. Running your own gig is hard. Okay, it's really hard. But it's been a great journey. Fun fact about me. Okay, my wife and I have 3 kids. We have a 34, a 32, and a 16-year-old.
Oh, goodness.
Oops. Yeah. Yeah, so fun fact, we are not good planners.
Oh my gosh, and ever since I met you, I've just been so impressed with your journey, and everything that you've done with the Institute has been nothing short of absolutely, phenomenal. So really
Thank
great
you.
to see you here again at Dreamforce this year. So first question of the day is, so HIKE2 works a lot with a lot of heavily regulated industry, really focused in the legal and compliance space. And I think we are seeing just compliance. And what does that mean? So we know we have some, kind of really new legislation coming out. The EU is pushing the rules with the European Accessibility Act of 2025, and we know that the US is not far behind. So would love to hear from you, like how are you thinking about just compliance and what that is means from an accessibility standpoint? We'll go with you first, Mike.
Okay, so yeah, actually the DOJ, Department of Justice, actually April 24th of this calendar year actually strengthened the Americans with Disabilities Act. So the United States, I reside in the state of Colorado, and House Bill 211110 is the most progressive digital accessibility legislation in the United States ever, and it passed like 3 years ago. And it required all state agencies, all municipalities within the state of Colorado, all municipalities, to make sure that their digital environments are equitable to all citizens, which is cool. And that's the kind of the CX, right, or the B2C side, the consumer-facing side. They went one step further, and they made sure that all internal applications are also required to be digitally equitable as well. So the Department of Justice they're tagging on to that very progressive legislation. So nationally, all states, so the rest of 49 states have to be digitally accessible as of April of 2026 or April of 2027. If you're a municipality with 50,000 citizens or less, you have an additional year to make sure your assets are completely accessible. And then, as you said, Amanda, the European Act of 2025. So again, two major, series of countries and continents that are absolutely pushing this. So if you, HIKE2, anybody else are going to be doing business, like this isn't one of those things where like, we might have to talk about this. Like this is something that's absolutely being pushed forward. And so digital accessibility needs to be part of any organization's vernacular.
Exactly. Yeah. Super interesting. How about you, Steffi?
Oh
Thoughts?
gosh, thoughts? Well,
Yeah.
I think Mike just said all of them. But generally speaking, I think it's incredibly, I'm really happy that they're doing that. I'm happy that we're getting more and more people required to be accessible by law. And honestly, I think it's only going to get broader as we go into hopefully so many more industries. Because it's so important, it's the right thing to do, and I know that it's a struggle sometimes from a design perspective. Well, it's a struggle all the time from a design perspective, trying to get, make sure your client or the people you're working with are doing it accessibly from the very, very beginning. So having these in place is going to be a huge, huge help to kind of advocate for our own work that we're doing.
Ertay, let's change up the question for you and bring it back to the reason we are all here this week, Salesforce. And what are you seeing coming from Salesforce that's helping to drive some of this?
What am I seeing from Salesforce? Well,
Remember, this is recorded.
first, yeah. Well, if
We
it
can
was,
edit, so feel free.
And?
no worries. If it wasn't for Salesforce, I probably wouldn't be here today, because I started losing my vision like a couple years. I mean, I was losing my vision, I guess, since forever. I just didn't know it yet. But I started losing my vision, and it became like noticeable about 2 years after I graduated from university. So I have a computer science and engineering degree. So I was still sighted, and I was even working for an organization, for a startup here in the US as a mobile developer. And after I got to a point where I couldn't see stuff on my computer screen anymore, I had to put everything on hold and figure out what to do in order to continue this career. Because in North Macedonia, services for the blind are almost non-existent. Like there is a school for blind children, and when I reached out to them, I was told, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm 24, 25. Well, sorry, we only support kids up to 18. I'm like, oh, great, that's fantastic. So what do I do now? Well, tough luck, guy. So I had to, thankfully my computer science background helped me, pick up a screen reader on my own. Then I met some people online. There was a particular gentleman from Canada, Ryan, who was super helpful in giving me some initial tips on how to get started. And as I was getting ready, to join the workforce again, because at this time I, became, I was unemployed for 3 years. I became financially dependent on my family to support me. I heard about BIT and Salesforce, so I did that course as a platform. I think still Salesforce is the only CRM out there that is accessible not just from the front end, so not just for the data entry person, but also from the back end, where I can continue doing what I love, which is create, innovate on the platform. And even before governments decided to push accessibility forward, which is the right thing to do, Salesforce made this investment into accessibility that changed, I think, a few people's lives, and one of them is mine, because now, rather than being dependent on my brother, my mom, to support me, I'm actually, supporting myself, and I can also provide for them, as well. So, yeah, it's been a great journey.
Amazing. Steffi, how about you? How have you seen Salesforce embrace people with disabilities?
Oh my gosh, in so many ways. So this is my first Dreamforce. So coming here and actually seeing things like the disability desk and all of the help that they give to all kinds of human beings who have different ways of seeing and doing things is absolutely phenomenal. From a design and development aspect, one of the big bookmarks that I have on my browser is the bug list of accessibility things that they're working on. And I just love that every release that they do, they've got more and more accessibility fixes and updates. I mean, they've just did a couple releases ago, a huge visual one for contrast of icons, because they were really not doing a great job for low and vision and blind, colorblind users. So that came out, that was fantastic. And just every single release, there's a whole bunch of things I can do. There's a new lightning design system that they're just now starting to update, and it's phenomenal. The documentation on it with all of the accessibility needs, both code and design, it's wonderful, and it's so good to see. I don't see that anywhere else.
It's true.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, do you want to share some of your personal story as well?
Oh yeah, I guess so. Sure. I already said I talked about accessibility from a neurodivergent perspective, and that's because a couple reasons. One, I scored top marks on my ADHD quiz, so I have a lot of issues with focus and concentration. You'll hear me ramble a lot sometimes. I have auditory processing disorder as a result of that, so it takes me a lot of time to process sometimes what you're saying. If you ask me a question, I'll go, what? But what really got me into accessibility specifically was during COVID, right? And all of a sudden our kids are having school from home. And this is when I discovered that my oldest had severe anxiety. There's one thing about being in school with your classmates and the teacher's up there, and then you're sitting with the students looking at the teacher. Suddenly, when you're sitting in front of a computer screen and there are 20 kids staring at you and the teacher, and you're required to have your camera on and your microphone on, I actually walked into the room one morning and she was under the table in a ball crying. And I was the person who was in those meetings going, you have to have your camera on, it's disrespectful if you don't. That stopped immediately after that, and that's when I realized that that's neurodivergents are really left out of a lot of things when it comes to designing accessibly or inclusively. So that's how I got there. I've been hardcore ever since. It's my favorite drum to bang.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, and Mike, how about you? Maybe share a bit of your story with this group and then what you've really seen Salesforce do to also embrace people.
Oh, so I've been legally blind or blind my entire life. So, and it was, so it wasn't one of those like later in life things. So first grade, small town in Ohio, you get sent down to the nurse's office, you stick your head in some kind of helmet thing, and the nurse says, what's the color of the closest balloon? And I'm like, what balloon? And so went to the eye doctor, small town in Ohio, and again, really small rural town, and the optometrist there didn't have powerful enough equipment, and so just told my mom that I was faking it and handed my mom a placebo pair of glasses and said, make sure he sits 6 feet from the TV. So my mom knew it was BS, you know, within hours or days, and next town over, finally got to the Cleveland Clinic, which is a fairly renowned eye institute, and they did a bunch of experimental procedures on me when I was, again, 7 years old, and ultimately a few months later, sitting in the lobby, and Dr. Dong, I'll never forget it, comes out and he says, your son's got the earliest onset of macular degeneration we've ever seen. It was a misdiagnosis, but it was in the right vertical at least, and it said to my mom that he's going to be blind by the time he turns 18. And I'm 7 years old, and I look up at my mom and I'm like, what's blind? And the strength of only a lioness, the strength only a mom could do. She says it just means you're going to be special. Like only a mom has that kind of strength. And so what I remember about that period next is I ate so many carrots.
Sounds
Ridiculous. I mean, I was like, my brother is eating a Twinkie. Yeah, here's a carrot. Like, it was just ridiculous. So I knew at that point in time. So the schools wanted to actually send me to school for the deaf and the blind, and my mom says, oh, no. So they kept me in the school, and integration from a disability perspective looks differently depending on your zip code, right, across the U.S. We all understand how schools are funded and zip codes, all that sort of thing. So same thing applies to students with disabilities. And so they did their best, to integrate me. But when my mom moved my brother and I to the Denver metro area, and we got into a slightly better zip code, that's when I started being taught Braille, assistive technology, what's called O&M, orientation mobility training, so white cane travel, that sort of thing. But at that point in time in middle school, so I was way behind the learning curve. I graduated high school reading at about a 6th grade level. I still struggle big time with spelling. That's why I love Wordle and that sort of thing, just to help me with that. But I had a couple of math teachers and science teachers that knew that I could do logic, I could do numbers in my head, and so I had that kind of affinity. So I moved into tech in my early 20s, and the rest of my career I already talked to you about. But again, I feel like tech as a vertical, right? Whether it's project management, business analyst, like all that. Like, I always feel like there's a lot of things that people with disabilities, and I knew, like, working, like, of course, work with neurodivergent people within tech, it's one of those things, right? And I'm not generalizing, but again, logic and systems, all that kind of stuff, it works pretty well for many people that are neurodivergent. But disability is just not talked about, right? And it's just so taboo of a topic. And so that's why, after talking it over with my best friend and better half, leaving my 6-figure income to start BIT, and my very first business plan to start BIT was the BIT Academy. The thing is, I had no idea how to make the BIT Academy help us make money. So we pivoted to be a staffing agency. So we've been a nonprofit staffing agency since day one. Because working in tech, half of your team members are always from some kind of body shop, right? Or they're all from staffing agencies. So I knew that business model very well. And so we just acted as a nonprofit staffing agency. And then about 5 years into BIT, I was like, okay, I'm ready to throw our name in the hat in the ring when it comes to some sort of workforce development. And so, started looking around. Of course, Salesforce was out there. We kicked the tires on Salesforce and found out that it was reasonably accessible to the hardest to serve digitally, which was the blind, visually impaired community. What was amazing about Salesforce, though, is so when we started coming up against blockers, and we found people on the inside that were willing to listen to us. And then, like Steffi said, not only were they willing to listen to us, they were then putting it on their roadmap, and they were freaking delivering. And trust me, BIT has gone to, I'll leave the names will remain out of this conversation, but they sound a whole lot like, Microsoft and other, so there are a lot of other brands. We can edit the shit out of this. But there are a lot of other brands. So BIT has taken our model, this workforce development model, to other very large tech companies, right, from a workforce development perspective, and they've opted out. Right, so I sound like a Salesforce commercial sitting up here in this amazing golden hoodie, but they're the only tech stack company in the world that's prioritizing me and who I am as a career option.
Incredible, absolutely incredible.
Wow.
Wow.
Make sure we edit some of that out though.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So Steffi, like really, a day and a half into Dreamforce, what are you most excited about?
I'm hitting up every accessibility talk I can get my little feet to, honestly. And I love talking to the actual folks on the floor from Salesforce who are making the things, right? Because they do listen, they actually want to hear me. So I'm like going in there and talking to the design people and making fun of them with some of the code stuff. And I teased them about the Shadow DOM yesterday relentlessly. It was great. I hate that thing. But meeting all of the people is number one on my list, and then getting to all of the sessions that I wouldn't necessarily get anywhere else, because I haven't been to a conference where there are specifically, hey, we need people to talk about accessibility. Yeah. Here's a whole bunch of sessions. I'm like, right. I'm there. It's great.
Yeah, incredible. And even just having the accessibility hub, right? That's something that's really special.
Makes us more independent. And I don't have to spend time now to write back to the person to ask, for, let's say, an accessible version, because, let's say, if they didn't do their homework themselves, I can just, run this image through an AI that only takes like 5 seconds to describe and, let me know what is there. So as a productivity tool, it's been fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to see what Salesforce does with it. And I'm looking forward to see what pricing they attach to it, because that can be a huge problem, especially for non-profits, for, I don't know, organizations like Coca-Cola or Google or Microsoft, that might not be much, but for the clients that we work with in the non-profit world, it can be expensive. So I hope that when it at least comes to the accessibility part of AI, things are a bit more accessible.
Sure, and that's just such a great use case that you shared that I think a lot of us may not have even thought about, in terms of, like, of course we do process diagrams, but not really meaning, kind of what that means to the greater population. So thank you for sharing that as well. Super interesting. How about you, Mike? What's been it for you so far this week?
And then close your eyes, right, and think about, right, like how you would attempt to navigate that chaos, right? Like it is but Salesforce has cited guides. Like, I mean, it's how I got down here. No problem. I don't have to worry about team members. I don't like it. It's just awesome. So I get a real user experience.
Yes.
Right. Coming here, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I love it. And the family that really is, and of course, we were blessed to be on the big stage last year, with Mark Benioff and Parker Harris to get this golden hoodie. So kind of as the team knows, like I'll just be standing there and people are like, "Hey, oh yeah, that's me." Like, so it's been super fun for just kind of that familiar kind of feeling. And then honestly, I'm pretty stoked to see Imagine Dragons again tonight. So,
oh, me too.
Yeah. So I took my son to his first rock concert, and it was Imagine Dragons, and they killed it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them. So.
Oh, this is so great. Yeah, and just thank you so much for sharing your stories, your personal stories, and your experience here this week, and just kind of letting us all know what that feels like, what that is like. And I do want to close us out with one more question, which is a prediction for the future, before we open it up for some questions. So Steffi, like, where do you think we're headed with accessibility? Like, what's your one prediction for the future?
Well, my prediction is definitely that there are going to be more laws and legislations for more industries. And I'm hoping, I don't know if it's a prediction, but I'm really hoping that people actually start embracing it, and then more companies are going to fall in line with, yes, accessibility, everybody deserves an equally awesome experience. So that's my hope. and slight prediction.
Yeah, absolutely love it. How about you, Ertay?
Oof, prediction. Well, I'll start with, well, this is going to be a hope again from my country first. We have a problem in my country where if you are blind, you can only become a massage therapist, you know? Like a couple of weeks before flying here, I had a parent of a blind kid call me so that I could talk to his IT teacher at high school because he told him to change his IT class. It was an elective class from IT to do something like ethics because he wouldn't be able to work with databases. And I'm working with databases every day, you know? So with the legislation changes that are happening in the European Union, and we are not in the European Union, but we love to borrow stuff from the European Union, I'm hoping that things will change, you know, in my local community from that perspective. But more widely, I think the development in AI, as I said, would probably help a lot. Right now we are getting descriptions for images with AI, and they are already working on getting real-time descriptions of actual video content. So I think that would be a game changer, for example, for me to navigate this Dreamforce, you know, these multiple blocks with Dreamforce without a sighted guide with, I don't know, a white cane that, you know, can just drive me through the chaos. That would be something amazing to see. So I don't think that type of future is far. So yeah, we'll see.
Have fantastic hopes right there. And I think, you know, we even just like from a driving perspective, taking the Waymos, have you all done that this week? I took my first Waymo last night. That was an incredible experience. It was really fun there. How about you, Mike? What's your prediction?
So, like everybody here has heard of like the talent shortage, right? Talent pipeline shortage, and my prediction is, so people with disabilities, statistically, we can prove are the greatest untapped human potential on the planet. We can prove that out just looking at the unemployment rates here in the U.S., which is the best in the world, and like for the neurodivergent community, it's 90% unemployment rate, right? So, and it gets worse across the globe, right? Not better. So people with disabilities, greatest, so 1 billion strong, okay? Unemployment rates are egregious. It's greatest untapped human potential on the planet. So my prediction is within a generation, so people with disabilities will absolutely be part of the fabric of every organization in the Fortune 10,000. Mic drop.
Got it.
That is so good. Oh my gosh.
Did you get that one, Kayla? All right, yeah. That's going viral, baby. Woo!
Mic drop.
Thank you so much.